Currently going through the joys of booking people in to come and quote us for work around the house. God damn it, I love it so much. We need some work doing outside. Effectively, like the render on this side of the building needs replacing. And previously we got quotes around to do it, and they were like damp proof quotes. So there were people who are like, normally just do damp proofing and all that kind of stuff, where really we just need a builder. In theory, I could do this if I was that way inclined and had access to scaffolding, which I'm neither of those two things. I've been like trying to find builders who do it but aren't like specialist in damp proofing, and then therefore hopefully get a semi-reasonable quote. Like I say, I've seen some reasonable guesstimates and whatnot, and I'm waiting for a couple of people to get back to me to like organise times for them to come over. But it's that time of the year again, boys. Everyone loves organising quotes for things. It's so much fun. Otherwise, I've got 3 weeks now before I go back to work. So I'm just like trying to do all of the jobs around the house so that effectively there's less to do when we're back to full-time work, I guess. So that's on my radar. There's a couple of things in the garden I need to do, a couple of things in the front door, a couple of things to the car, all of which involve it being dry outside, and it's not today. So I have been kind of twiddling my thumbs a little bit, just kind of doing my own thing, chilling out. I'm trying to not chill out too much, but I'm kind of enjoying having a bit of a holiday, you know? It's been a long extended holiday, I appreciate, but yeah. Plan now is to just make myself a cup of tea. I'm going to go upstairs. Laura should be back in about an hour and a half-ish, maybe. So I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to deploy my Azure function, and then I can move on to the next step of the Azure functions chain of events that all get triggered around. This is just deployment and setting up users and stuff for dev environment. Yeah, I'm still chipping through with RadSpider. Obviously the motivation has just dived out the floor. I want to spend a little bit of time learning some of the new stuff that we're going to be doing at work in a couple of weeks time, but I just want to like I want to kind of tidy it up to a certain extent. I need to get this thing out of the way, and I need to make a list of things I need to research to stay ahead of the game. Who do I know that's like in some way related to builders and stuff? I'm going through the process of getting quotes done for the re-render of the back of the house. And I saw an advert for something in a local newspaper for a company that does kind of roof repairs to fix damp. And I've entered in this weird rabbit hole of people who say that rising damp isn't a thing. It all effectively stems from the roof. And there's two things you want to fix. Is I think they're called copings, which are like the two bits of like the walls that stick up by the side of your roof, and then like the felt itself and like the slats and whatnot. Because effectively what's happening is apparently water, this is the thing, I don't know whether to believe it or not. Water runs down the side of the house and then is caught by the render at the back, which explains why we've got so much more like damp issues at the back of the house and the front of the house, because the front of the house isn't rendered. And the render is just holding all the water in, effectively. So what we should be doing is taking the render off, seeing whether or not the bricks are damaged, and only rendering again if the bricks are damaged. Don't know what damaged brick looks like. And then effectively a bit of roof work, slash refelting the roof, will effectively fix all of the issues, according to this guy I was just on the phone with. I don't know how much of that's believable. It sounds quite conspiracy theory-y, you know? Like, oh, he's the person that's like blowing the thing. But like, I've seen videos on QI where they're like, a lot of people don't believe rising damp is a thing. And I've seen like a video of an experiment which supposedly a scientist has built walls in standing water and then not had damp. I don't know what to believe anymore. God damn it, man. My gut's telling me that 4 or 5 people have come round and said that well, we've obviously got an issue, and 4 or 5 people have 4 or 5 people have come around and said that we need work done to the render. We definitely need that. But the problem with all these conspiracy theories is they make partial sense, don't they? The thing that puts me off about this guy is I obviously rung him about these cover things that you put on your copings to fix the issue there. And I just kind of rung to be like, if I can get you around to give me a quote, which I'm going to take some photos and send it to him, then I can get a gauge for whether or not the roof needs work, you know? And like, maybe or maybe not, I'll get these weird cover things. But otherwise, maybe not, we'll get the cover things. But I'll get a general idea for the state of the roof, because you're going to have to go up to the roof to look at it, right? But he says that, like, effectively all the problems come from the roof, and you might need the roof refelting, which doesn't sound fun, and these cover things. But the thing is, he's adding stuff on now, you know? It's not just the covers, it's refelting the roof and shit like that. So I need to do more research into this. Managed to get to the shop today to pick up some of the stuff I couldn't pick up yesterday. I did all the shopping and whatnot yesterday. In fact, did I tell you about this? Don't think I did. So like, Laura had a mad amount of work to do yesterday and whatnot for her exams today. I did like all of the, speaking of cooking, oh no, it's pasta tonight, yeah. Did all the shopping and cooking and washing up and whatnot yesterday. So I went shopping on my own, which I knew. So when we go shopping, we have this little thing where you scan it. It's not in all Sainsbury's, but it's in, they were like trialing it out. I think they're rolling it out. Where you go around, I think Tesco have them as well, where you go around, you scan all your stuff, bag it all, and then you go to the checkouts and you just scan the checkout, and it like pipes over all the things you just bought, and you just pay, put your card in and leave. It's really good. But every now and again they do like random bag checks to like stop people stealing stuff. It's happened to us once before, and effectively they have to like scan like 30% of all of the things in your bag to make sure that you're not like just putting shit in your bag, you know, and not paying for it. And I knew, as I walked into the shop, I'm like, they're going to do this to me today. It's only happened to us once, but they're going to do it to me today because I'm on my own. Because Laura's not here, I'm going to be randomly selected, guard down. And they did. But the other thing I was going to say was, for some reason, people are panic buying loo roll. That's a thing right now because of the coronavirus. By the time you see this, it might not be, hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully we've got loo roll to go around. But people are panic buying loo roll. I mean, coronavirus doesn't give you the shits or anything like that, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Apparently, it's because of the size of loo roll and like how little of it they can get on a shelf, it looks emptier quicker, and then that induces panic buying rather than people panic buying loo roll, whatever. Other things like pasta is actually being panic bought. But anyway, it's by the way. So we go there, loo roll's gone, and then I'm like looking for, Laura wanted some, what the fuck, some toiletries, I can't remember. But some toiletries, deodorant I think. Something like that, or did I want deodorant? Can't remember, it's not important. And I was looking around for that, and then I realised that they're bringing out like pallets and stuff for the overnights to fill up the shop floor. And on this pallet, there's kitchen roll, and in the middle there's loo roll, and there's like 6 people chilling out near that pallet, hoping to get access to that loo roll. Damn, mate. In like TMI, we have a pack of, we buy a box of 9 loo rolls. Every 3 months or something. I mean, like, we never buy it. And it just sits there and like, you know, I don't know what it is about everyone else who seems to go through a lot more loo roll than us. I don't know. But yeah, so mad one. We got another weird day on our hands today. Laura has got the last thing she needs to do for a while. And I know my hair is long, all right? I'm getting it cut the weekend. I was gonna get it cut today, but I'd rather go into town to my old hairdresser. I'm gonna be able to start getting my hair cut at lunchtime because that's near where I'm working now. So I'm thankful for that, although I'm not sure how to stay without getting hair on my stuff, you know? There's two people in life that I'm legitimately, genuinely jealous of. It's gonna sound weird. Firstly, are people who can get their hair cut at lunchtime and not worry about being like covered in hair. Maybe it's because I like my hair at different lengths. This is way too long. But I like it short, I like it like mid-length, and I like it a bit longer. So I let it grow out quite a long way. Maybe that's the problem. And secondly, is people who can go to work with no or very minimal bag. You know? Like, they'll literally just have like a walk in with a laptop in their hand and that's it. You know? Or they literally just walk into work with their key card and their phone. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you do that? Why have I always got a bag with me? I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, there's that. What else have I been? Today has been a morning of admin related stuff. I fired off hopefully the last set of emails for my new job, which will be fine. Yeah, it's just like employment history stuff. They're like, have you got a paycheck from this job? No, that was years ago. The biggest one was, since I don't have a letter, I don't have an accountant, and I didn't qualify to file for a self-assessment tax form, do I have a paycheck for my self-employment job with Varialis? No. No, I don't. I never took a salary. I never took anything. It was literally just director's loans, just straight into the business. Anyway, so I sorted all that out. Speaking of which, I've got, oh shit. When is that? Oh, it's about 4:30. Okay, no, someone's coming around to quote us a job for render work. I did some de-weeding, because that's on my job list of jobs to do. I fixed that's what I was going to Google as well. Right, they're the two things I'm going to go upstairs and do with my cup of tea right now. I went upstairs a minute ago and I'm like, there's something I said I was going to look at. I cleaned the car, I buffed out some scratches on it, which I couldn't get rid of all of them, but I got rid of some of them from the time I accidentally got a little bit too close to a post in Cornwall. Sealed up the thing in the bathroom, and I've replaced the light on the front of the house. I put weed killer down on the front and back, and by back I mean like the twitchell thing at the back of the house. I don't, Laura's like, one of my jobs is to de-weed the gardens. I don't know what the difference is between a weed and a plant. So I feel like I'm going to need that pointed out to me before I do it. Before I start just ripping out fucking, I don't know, well, dandelions or whatever. Obviously not dandelions, but you know, meant daffodils there. So yeah, it's been quite a like fun morning of just like little odd jobs here, there and everywhere. I've got, like I say, another list of things. We want to look at our current light. It turns on in the dark and it's always on. I want to look for one that's done on motion sensors. And now I've like swapped the light bulb out. I've seen how it's wired in. Because obviously it's attached to the mains. I don't know where the switch is to turn it on or off. So it might be a case of just flick the fuse for the whole house and then pray it doesn't electrocute me. But yeah, so we want to look at doing that. That's the thing I need to Google upstairs. Yeah, that's been my day so far. I haven't opened up a single game. I'm impressed. I'm proud of myself. So just been pottering. Oh my gosh, boys and girls, it's another day. I really don't know what to do with myself anymore. God damn it, man. I've been trying to think of like things that I've always wanted. You know, kind of abstractly, but then also to the sense that like a thing that I wanted while I was at Varialis, while working on Varialis and RadSpider, but they were too expensive. So like a CMS, a proper like blogging platform, you know. And I'm like, maybe I could just write something like that. So if I ever need it again in the future, I've got it. I've just like lost all imagination and like thingy. What I'm like is. I don't know. It's not good though. All the things that I've like looked at learning for thingy, I've kind of done as well for my new job. Terraform, I've looked at it. I feel like I know it enough to like get started, but it's one of them things that like is all the demos in the world won't, you know what I mean? Like fake scenarios to use it aren't really representative of the real scenarios. So I want something to do. I want a target, and it's wet today, so I can't chip through my job list. I felt like I had a good day yesterday because I did like some jobs and stuff. I'm waiting for 2 people to come around to do render quotes. One now-ish, and then the next in like the next in an hour. We'll see how it goes. They almost started to come at the same time. One of them I completely forgot about, and the other one was like, I'll let you know what time I can do. And I'm like, okay. And then they both happened to be at the same time. Right, quotes done. Just waiting for the prices, I guess. And now the sun's out as well, so I'm thinking about going for a walk just to get out. I'm kind of like wallowing a little bit. I haven't been out of the house in a very long time, well, since shopping on Monday. So let's go for a little walk. And try and figure out what I want to do with myself for the next, I've just got 2 weeks. The thing is, I know full well, we're going to go to, the day where we go to work is going to be the day that they go into 2 weeks of isolation and working from home. And I'm like, no, I just want friends. So it's the morning next day. I don't remember what I've been vlogging. We got all of the quotes and stuff sorted yesterday. Went to bed quite late yesterday because we were talking about coronavirus. So we didn't go to bed too late. Woke up this morning feeling fine. Laura was doing something after work, so she didn't have to go in early. So she had a lie-in, so I had a lie-in because there's no point. I don't need to get up at 6. I am going to go for my walk though. Just look how horrendously long my hair is though. It's getting cut tomorrow, that's all that matters. Hopefully my hairdresser's is open. Could you imagine that? Hair gets this long and then the hairdressers don't open. Fuck, that'd be horrendous. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for my walk and I'm going to come back and I figured out what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move a lot of my code effectively is in a project in Azure DevOps called RadSpider, which doesn't effectively make sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the ones that make sense to be moved into Common, which is another project, and then in theory I can move those repositories into other projects if they require it at some point in the future. So predominantly I'm going to move my identity server into Common. I'm going to move my CDN into Common. I'm going to move some of the NuGet packages because a lot of the NuGet packages are RadSpider NuGet packages, because I didn't have Common for a long time, so I just kind of named everything RadSpider. So I'm going to move them all, and then I am planning on, like I was saying yesterday, building something that might be useful in the future for me. And firstly, it's like a learning exercise, which is the predominantly what I'm going to use it for, is like a chance to play with new stuff or whatever. But I'm going to move my identity server. I'm going to try and configure that so that it's multi-tenanted, so that it can support multiple sites, multiple sources, and the roles are configured slightly differently so that you can have multiple roles. We'll see how that works. So that it can sit and continue to protect RadSpider, but also I can build other things on top of it. So what I'm trying to build is some kind of CMS, Content Management Service. And what I want it to be able to do effectively is, like, first use case is blogs. You add it to a website, it does blogs, and then like you can, it has its own front end which you can like interface with and whatnot. But then I'm going to build it out from there into a general system which will allow for different types of content sites. So a bit like Contentful, where you can effectively design pages. Now, what I want it to do is I want to be able to like change content on a site. I haven't figured out how to do this yet without actively changing the site itself. That's the target. And I want to be able to do that in like the most abstract way. So effectively in the future, if I was to want to build my own site, another site up, say radspider.net or varialis.com or jamieped.com, .uk, which I've got, I can effectively just point it at the CMS, and the CMS, there's a couple of like technical problems I want to try and solve. So things like I want to be able to preview the real site in the CMS. In theory, for the blogs, that'll be relatively easy because it'll be a case of like effectively the HTML for the thing will be just blog, and then it will just import it all. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm thinking about. And I'm like, moving those things, that'll be relatively interesting. Designing this system will be relatively interesting. And the advantage being, it will be like RadSpider in the early days, where it was a great opportunity to like learn new stuff and play with things that I wouldn't necessarily get a chance to play with, in a platform that's big enough to actually test whether or not they're good, you know? So I'm gonna try not to like just default to the standard method of doing stuff, just to like kind of play around and see what's going on. I'm gonna try and, there's changes I wanna make to my CDN. I wanna become a little bit less reliant on semantic UI to make things look good. So I'm gonna have a look around for options there. Loads of fun stuff. That's my plan. But first, I'm gonna go for a walk. I am like kind of an hour behind myself because we had an hour lie-in, but it's by the by. Like I say, I'm on no time limits or whatnot today. I figured out like what I can do that's interesting enough for me to want to do it and has some value. Because part of the things like that I've otherwise been doing, there's been like very little like measurable value at the end of it. And if at some point in the future I want to build a website, I want to build another company, I could either pay for someone else's CMS, or I could save the money on that, build my own and use my own, or even sell my own, who knows, and then save a load of money or save a load of dev time or whatever, you know? That's my strat. Because yeah, the problem is some of these CMSs are really expensive to use and overkill for what I need them for, but they're really good, obviously. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to build something as good as Contentful because they have an entire company designed around building that thing, right? And I'm just me in my spare time. I just happen to have a lot of spare time. But like I say, it was something that's stopping me. Like, the way that I currently do my blogs for my site, it's a bit shit. It's a bit trash, boys. It's going to be interesting because I'm going to use a bit of SQL stuff. I feel like there's no real way of doing the Contentful style stuff without SQL. I think I can use Mongo for the blogs, and I think that makes sense. But yeah, so that's my plan. I'm going to move all this stuff. I need to think of like names for some of it, I guess. That's going to be the hardest part. Because now it's not in varialis.radspider.services.identity server. What would it be? Varialis.identity server? Do you just cut that out? Don't know. Varialis.common? Varialis.radspider.services.identity server. Yeah, that's probably what it was before. No, services.security. So would it be varialis.common.services.security? Probably. Things that have to connect directly to identity server, I am probably not going to put, I'm going to keep them in Service Fabric. Well, no, sorry, no. So things that directly connect to RadSpider, Service Fabric, but I'm going to look at things like Kubernetes, stuff like that for hosting. We'll see. Like I say, I want to change quite a lot about the CDN. So that is almost definitely going to go into a Docker container because it is not good at the moment. So I think that's one of the big improvements I can make on that. But yeah, I mean, currently the CDN's Node. I'm thinking about moving it to C#. I just don't know why. Like, maybe Node is probably better for it. But Node comes with a load of security issues that I'd rather not deal with, I guess. But identity server, to a lesser extent identity server, because all that doing at the moment is authenticating RadSpider. But assets is doing all of the styles for my public facing websites. So I can't change too much about them, you know? They have to still effectively work the same way, but I want to be able to add more functionality to it. Let's go for a walk. I've just been refreshing my mind about how my CDN actually works. Because I didn't know how it worked. So I have a CDN that's hosted in Azure. That basically just points at blob storage. And blob storage is hosting all of the files that are accessible via the site. So like CSS, JavaScript files, etc. Now my presentation, my like CDN project is actually just like, it's a node-based hosting service that runs locally. Obviously it builds all the assets and then hosts it so that you can run it on your machine. But like effectively, that's not the CDN that's working in the cloud. So effectively, it's just a case of figuring out how to get those files somewhere and then figuring out a way of hosting it locally. It's a pain in the ass to host locally. I'm going to see if I can move it to Docker and then potentially get the files out of it again. That might be the hard bit, to be honest. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm having fun, making myself a cup of tea, doing some learning on something I probably should have known more about, to be honest with you. This isn't something I respected a lot. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I'm kind of like I say, I figured out how it works. Oh my gosh, I'm on an Xbox controller. Figured out how it works. Gonna try and host it in Docker so that effectively you can just do Docker run, and it'll just kick it all up. That would be ideal. The only question is, can I make it so that the files are accessible to the build artifact if I do that, you know? Can I effectively have the Docker container output files on build? Don't know. We'll see about that. That's the like complicated bit. But yeah, I'm having fun. Like I say, I've got something to aim at now. I've got like a target to hit. You know, on the grand scheme of things, I don't really need to know how this thing works, which is why I never really paid much attention to it the first time around. But yeah, so living the goddamn dream, boys. To be honest, in this scenario, I actually think it's going to be better to create a new project for it rather than to, you know what I mean? Create a new project for it rather than kind of adapt the old repository thing. It'd be a lot easier to strip out the bits I don't need and add in bits that I like, effectively strip out everything I don't understand how it works, and then move from there. But yeah, I mean, in theory, it could just be I could put a very basic MVC app in the project itself, and then you do like .NET Run. But then .NET Run wouldn't automatically do all of the... It's interesting because like running it locally and then running it locally where it updates, like when you're debugging it, they're two slightly different things. And for one of them, Docker might not actually be that good. No, it wouldn't be. No, yeah. So what? I'm gonna try and Dockerize it. I'm gonna put the whole thing into Docker, so you can do Docker run. That will then run, and then it will bind to the local file drive, and then that will be like kind of put the files that you actively change, because you only change like 3 of them. We aren't modifying semantic UI at all. We just have additional CSS files that kind of sit on top and override it. So, does that make sense, Jamie? I think that makes sense. One of the potential questions will be, in some of these gulp files, which I don't understand very well, and Webpack files. I find Webpack files like a black magic, like you effectively find one that works and then you just don't touch it. You just pray. But the thing is, it'll do like node updates and stuff, and they will like flag up warnings and stuff. And evidently it doesn't matter because it's static files and whatnot. But it's annoying. Yeah, no. I'm like, part of my head is like, well, does it make sense to do this? It doesn't matter if it makes sense to do this. Is it fun? Yeah, do it then. So, I'm actually discovering that Docker doesn't actually give me all that much on top of what I've already got, you know? So it's actually going to complicate things as well. So it's a bit of a not a great thing. It's also like 50 minutes past lunch. I'm starving. So I figured out how to get semantic building. I'm actually using a different semantic. I'm using one that's more up to date. It's like a fork from the community. So it's like a lot newer and whatnot. It's got a load of new stuff in it, which is cool. So I've got that sorted, and I've got that in the build project like the old one was. I'm trying to customize it so it doesn't put some themes in there, because I don't really need these themes. Not the end of the world, but there's very little of them, but obviously there's no point putting them there if I don't need them. I just need to get the actual like other stuff now. So things that I was previously using fucking Node NPM packages for, which is like compressing images and that kind of shit. To figure out a way of doing that. And then I just need to figure out a way of hosting it locally. But effectively, like, this is all I need to build. Like, it is literally just a run the npm build or whatever. It puts it into a folder, and then that folder just gets stripped and just put straight into blob storage. So to a certain extent, like, Docker just complicates things, because why, if that's all it is? I mean, like I say, in theory I could use Docker to run it, but then I may as well just have something else in there, you know, something a bit simpler. But yeah, we'll see. Could have a very, very simple .NET app in there that just goes .NET run and then just points at a load of static files. Just so I basically get it at a local host address, you know? So yeah, I'm looking back at this now and being like, maybe it is just a case of going through the original one and almost trying to fix all of the out-of-date packages and stuff rather than doing this. But having said that, I'm building it a new one kind of from the ground up, so to a certain extent it feels a lot more like feels a lot better. Yeah, I'm gonna carry on rebuilding it from scratch. I think that's the best way to go about it, and then I can figure out what I need and what I don't need one by one, rather than kind of going, here's a load of stuff that I think I need and a load of like packages that don't look like they're supported anymore. What can I change? That sounds like a plan. I'm so hungry. I think it's lunchtime. Right, yeah, so I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring it out as I go. I think, like I say, I was being a bit aggressive with what I was going to change it to, and to a certain extent kind of over-engineering a CDN. Like, it is literally just a load of static files by design, so it doesn't need to be anything more than that. The only complication is running it locally, like I say. Oh gosh, it's cold down here. It's warm upstairs in the sun. We'll make myself a little sandwich, have a little lunch break, boys. Not sure if this is a good thing or not, but when I go back to work, I'm going to have less time to watch Netflix. So, like, I watch a lot of Netflix. I basically, to force myself to have an hour lunch, I was watching things on Netflix, and I watched all of The Office, Drive to Survive, Formula One, although I've started watching that with Laura, so to a lesser extent. Orange is the New Black, BoJack Horseman, etc. But I'm like starting to run out of stuff. So on the one hand, it'll be good because I won't be like scratching around for basically like shit TV to watch while I'm making my sandwiches and having lunch and whatnot. But on the other hand, I have to then wait for Laura to watch stuff with, you know? And she's really slow at watching things. So maybe that's a bad thing, maybe I don't know. I appreciate that this video is getting really long, and hopefully Jamie has remembered, future Jamie, has remembered to move this video onto the previous day, or my automated script will put it on the wrong day, and we'll be fucked. And to be fair, I think my automated script blows up if the next day isn't available, so it's like, it checks to make sure all of the days it's expecting are there, rather than going, yo mate, you know, just like gluing it on 2 days in advance, you know what I'm saying? Today has been haircut day. Both me and Laura got haircuts, and then otherwise just did like the washing and stuff, had a bit of a lie-in. Went to Beth and Ben's for some food, and just like a general catch up and stuff. And we came back, had a cup of tea, and now going back to bed. So, oh yeah, I'm gonna end the video at the end of tomorrow, because obviously nothing exciting is gonna happen tomorrow. And it's time to end this video, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a day in the house today. I finished off my the changes I was making the other day to my CDN. Got that all updated. I now know how it all works as well. I did have a load of stuff in there that I was A, not using, B, was really not necessary, because I didn't understand it, and I basically lifted it from somewhere else that has it, you know, and has something similar to it, but theirs was like a bit beefier. So a lot of the like imports and usings and common packages and stuff I pulled in unnecessarily. I've now basically built it up from the ground up. Still using that other one as kind of like a base, but like as things failed, kicked in more stuff, you know what I mean? So like what I was doing was doing a load of stuff with JavaScript files, which I never even had any of them. I don't have my own custom JavaScript, for example. So I was just like, okay, delete all that. Don't need that. And also there was like effectively like the way it was hosted as well. It's now just literally a very, very basic static web server rather than what they had previously, which was like a sync between a browser instance, which was totally unnecessary because it in itself is just a server of files. It doesn't have its own endpoint, which is what it had in the previous one. And like I say, I didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, that's all sorted. Otherwise, Laura's been doing a bit of work today. I was doing that, played a bit of gaming and whatnot. Living the dream. We are now officially 2 weeks away from starting my new job. Literally just as, like, I just watched the news for 35 minutes. Not a single story that wasn't coronavirus related. We're gonna be fucked, boys. And I callously, generally don't even believe the biggest problem is gonna be the immediate virus. It's gonna be the aftermath economically will probably cause more deaths than the virus itself. Fuck me. But yeah, man, it's gonna wait for a wild ride. But yeah, so Laura's gonna be working from home soon. I don't know what's gonna happen with my job. We'll find out. Yeah, cool. Right, well, bedtime. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, man, I don't know. I might message the recruiter tomorrow and be like, hey, have you heard anything about what the plan is over the next couple of days? Because I don't bloody well know. Like I say, I'm assuming they're going to send us some just post us a laptop or get us to like go in and pick them up. I don't know. But if they're all working from home, I don't know, maybe they're not working from home. Who bloody knows? Right, cool. Who knows? God damn it, man. It is scary. But, right, I'll catch you later.